Yo, what's going on, everyone? Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and you know what? We're going to start a little different before we're going right into beer.
What?
We hit a certain milestone, didn't we, Jim?
Yes, we did.
And
we didn't even talk about it last podcast. Forgot.
I'm going to let you explain to the people, what's this milestone?
We've been doing this shit for 5 goddamn years.
It's not important.
What's the other milestone?
How many views we got?
Oh, yeah. I guess it is the more important one.
Jesus Christ. You know, this... Okay. So...
The rage that's bubbling.
I'm going to say this right off the bat. We don't talk about shit before we film these podcasts. Jim comes over, we set up, and we go into it. I had enough confidence that he could remember the thing he just tweeted, just put up on Instagram, and has been looking at feverishly every day for 5 years. The amount of views we get on YouTube. Not saying that matters to everyone, but it's something that it just marks a big milestone for us since we've been doing it for 5 years. And that was always a milestone goal, was to get to 500,000 views, because to think about that and how we first started, we were happy if we got 50 views on a video. Or
right, we're still getting 50 views on a video.
That's not important, but the point is, we hit goddamn 500,000.
Yeah, we did.
And Jim, would you say it's about time? And I know
you really talked about the milestone just for the watch bit, didn't you?
And I know what you're thinking. Brian.
No, I don't know what you're thinking, obviously. I didn't know what you were thinking this time. I don't know what you're thinking now with the goddamn watch.
Did you just go out and buy yourself
a
commemorative watch?
Yes, you did.
For this 500,000?
I absolutely guarantee that you did.
I did not, but this is genuine 23 karat gold.
23?
I'm not paying for an extra 1 carat.
God damn it. God damn it. Well, I think 5 years is long enough. It's been fun, folks.
I just wanted to get the rage in you built up because I want another blood vessel to pop in your eye.
God damn it. Doesn't take much.
So, yeah. Can't thank you guys enough. It's awesome. Obviously, we've been around YouTube forever, and for the people that have already congratulated us, we appreciate it.
Yep.
Without a doubt, we're still uber small. I mean, we're at 4,800 subscribers, and...
No, 38.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. 38.
Worse.
Yeah. So either way, it's one of those situations where we're small. Some people are like, I wouldn't consider you guys small.
No, we're small.
We're small. And it's just awesome. We still do this because we enjoy it, and it's fun. And we just wanted to say thank you, guys. We always like to hit these big milestones and thank you. While I was scrolling back through some of our old videos, I saw the thank you for us hitting 500 subscribers, I think 100 subscribers. So it's like, it's always exciting for smaller YouTube channels, I think, when they do hit those milestones. I love watching that from other people, because even some of the biggest names, they had to hit those milestones at some point. So that's awesome. All I can say is, we love doing this, and although our lives can and continue to get crazy busy, we're still going to keep putting out as much as we can for you guys and love interacting with you all.
Yeah, good thing we don't do this as a job, because time is of the essence right now. It's a little rough.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. And we never, unless we were able to magically get to 20 million subscribers or something, then maybe. But we don't think we're getting there. So either way, thank you guys. It's awesome. And and one other thing before we move on to the beer. So last podcast I was mentioning I was having some issues. That's why things were getting delayed. So just as a quick update, so it does turn out I have a herniated disc in my neck, which sucks, and a torn muscle or ligament in my shoulder. So that's why the continued lag in game reviews, although I was able to get one out this week. We're recording as of September 10th.
Just got out today, actually.
Yeah, so as you guys see, I'll still keep putting out short clips from these podcasts and some old live streams I did, as well as some new ones. But we're going to hopefully get back on track with getting reviews out every week. It's just with me trying to deal with those issues and everything else, it's a little nuts. So just thank you guys for the ones who said, hope I get better. And, hope I'm okay.
And while Brian's on the mend, I'll try to get some more smaller videos out there. I have a couple hardware reviews lined up, so we'll be able to fill some content out there until old Brian Boy's back in shape.
Yeah, and on top of that, I've been more active on Twitch. I'm trying to every Friday night do some kind of stream at night. I'm gonna say I can stick to that schedule unless anything comes up that takes all my time. So it's been fun doing that. So I appreciate you guys who've been following me there. And yeah, now let's just get on to what we're drinking tonight.
Yep.
So Jim actually put his beer in the fridge right now.
It needs to chill down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Actually, it's probably okay. Let me go run and get
So he'll grab that. I'll explain what we're starting with. Over the weekend, I went to, the hell is it? Peddler's Village. It's a little suburb in Bucks County. It's like a whole bunch of little shops and shit. But Free Will Brewing has a tap room there. And they released a new beer called Scarecrow. At least I think it's a new beer. You can actually kind of see the label pretty decent. Awesome label. Scarecrow. Scary crows in the back. Little farm. This is essentially their pumpkin beer. They're not calling it that. They're calling it their autumn spiced ale. Has vanilla, allspice, nutmeg, cinnamon. I really like it. It's like one of the lightest versions of a pumpkin beer I've ever had. It's only 5% alcohol, IBU of 28. So, yeah, it's just a delicious beer. I got a 4-pack because this was one of the many beers I tried from them while we were there over the weekend. And I figured, you know what? Let me just break this out for me and Jim. Jim,
looks interesting.
What is it you're going to be sharing with us today?
Well, once we're done this, we are going to be going into the Abyss. Oh wow, the Abyss 2016 Reserve from Duchette's Brewing. So
fancy.
I know, right? Stepping my game up. So Duchette's is one of my favorite brewers, and the unfortunate thing for us being in Philly is they're based out of like Seattle. So getting their beers over to the East Coast is kind of hit and miss. And normally I maybe find one small batch a year when I do. Now, the Dissonant line they have is my favorite beer, but unfortunately, I have had no luck finding the 2018 Reserve, so I found this guy. I've actually had the 2017 of this one already, so I saved the older brew for us. It is a Imperial Stout brewed with blackstrap molasses and licorice, dry spelled with cherry bark and vanilla bean, 21% aged in oak bourbon barrels, 21% aged in oak wine barrels, and 8% aged in New Oregon oak bottles.
I'm no mathematician, but those percentages don't add up to 100.
You'd be correct.
So what'd they do with the rest?
I think it's dog jizz.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Damn it.
Well, there goes that sponsorship. What sponsorship?
I don't even know what the fuck... God, go on.
That's what you get for your fucking 23 carats.
What time is it?
Never. So, luckily I can do my bit with this. It's dark. It's deep. It's mysterious. Don't.
Go on.
This Imperial Stout has immeasurable depth and biting. Are we just going to say the black dick joke? Are we just going to go with it?
I didn't say nothing.
No, you didn't say... you didn't do nothing, did you?
Poor... Never mind.
Oh, my God.
This is Napoleon.
Oh, this is going to be one of those podcasts. All right, it's dark, it's deep, it's mysterious. This Imperial Stout has immeasurable depth, inviting you to explore and discover its rich, complex profile. The flavor of this special brew draws you further and further with each sip. The Abyss beckons. Enjoy your journey.
What percentage is it?
Good question.
What does it say?
Looking. No, I can't see it.
Interesting. It's got to be.
Oh, strong. No, 11.1%.
Okay, that's solid. Yeah, I love.
Got one of those wax tops on it.
I love me stouts, so that'll definitely be quite enjoyable. All right, so as we always do, we're going to start talking about the past two brackets I've completed. And the first one, the beer one, the best Oktoberfest beer. This was an interesting list because I was torn between keeping it just a PA thing again or broadening the horizons. I obviously went with broadening. I wanted to get beers from all over the world, primarily Germany and the United States, because those are the most well-known Oktoberfest beer makers. With that being said, Jim, did you get a chance to look at the winners?
Yeah, no, I did not actually.
So, kind of shocked by this one because, especially most beer enthusiasts, the Oktoberfest is a very special, signifies a certain time of year, the German tradition. I was expecting one of the German titles or German entries to win. But what came in number one, and it blew everything out of the water, is the Sam Adams Oktoberfest.
Wow.
Which I guess doesn't surprise me because it's probably the most well-known Oktoberfest, especially on the East Coast, but most mass-produced in the States, I'll say. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's solid beer.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think at all it's the best Oktoberfest. It's a damn fine beer, and I do like it for what it is, but the next one is one of the ones I would have expected to win clearly, is the Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer. This is one of the ones that you would think of whenever you think Oktoberfest or German beers. You think of that iconic HB symbol. So with the blue and the gold, I love that beer. One of my first Oktoberfests I went to, festivals down in Philly. I must have drank so many different ones, but this one stood out the most to me. You've had that plenty of times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a good amount of these, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think I drank as many of these as I had.
Yeah, great. Then number 3, I'll go through the top 10 real quick. Number 3 was the Great Lakes Oktoberfest. It's another one. It's fine. That's just a better, well-known brewery. Then Ballast Point Dead Ringer Oktoberfest. I kind of expected this to be top 5 because anyone who knows Ballast Point knows that's a very popular brewery. Are they California or Seattle?
Ballast Point, I'm not sure. I want to say California, probably.
Okay. I think Seattle, but it does, I mean, either way, it's definitely West Coast. They're most well known for their what's that one IPA that they're really well known for?
Ballast Point, Sculpins.
Sculpins, yeah. So, number 5, Sierra Nevada, another very popular brewer. Then number 6, the Spaten Oktoberfest. And this was one of the ones I hadn't tried before this, or at least I thought I didn't. And then I went back to my Untapped and I was like, oh shit, I did try it like many, many years ago.
Your Untapped must be so goddamn deep.
It's crazy. And right now, I bought us a 6-pack. We actually drank it 2 weeks ago. I love that as a quick drinking beer. That's easily one of my favorite session beers. Excuse me. Number 7 was the Eyinger Oktoberfest Marzen. Never tried it, but it was pretty widely regarded as one of the most popular in the country. Then the Hocker Shore Oktoberfest Marzen. Another one, I'll admit, never tried. Number 9, good old Victory Brewing.
Always there.
That is probably one of their most, because they have so many great beers as we learned from doing the brackets with them. That's one of their most underrated beers, in my opinion, that gets overlooked by all the other great beers they have. And then number 10 was the New Glarus Staghorn Oktoberfest, another one, admittedly, I never had. A lot of the German beers were in the following, well, obviously the remaining, I forgot this was only a 16.
You probably could have cut this off.
So I should have cut it earlier. I'll just end with saying the number 16 spot was the Westbrook Marzen beer. And that's not to say it's a terrible beer.
Never had.
I had to cut this list down to only 16 because it was hard enough for hardcore beer drinkers around me that I've never tried enough on this list. So I was like, all right, can't make this one a 32. But, no, overall, were you shocked Sam Adams won?
A little bit. Just because it's more of a, I mean, it's still technically, well, it's probably not even technically craft anymore.
It's still considered craft, but it's a
macro at this point. It's a macro,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised, but maybe that's just, even among beer snobs, that's one that everyone's basically had. So
yeah. True.
And besides that, Great Lakes and Ballast Point, I'm not surprised to see there. Sierra Nevada, I'm actually surprised to see that high.
Yeah, they make, I feel like they make very, very good or very... I wouldn't say bad, but like
just average.
Just super average to right to below average. So
yeah, I could go with that.
Well, either way, thank you guys for voting on that one. And if you're paying attention right now, we have the best New Jersey brewery bracket up. So if you get a chance, get voting. By the time this video's out, make sure you vote by Sunday. So you have a couple days left.
Also, didn't we, aren't we 3 of these behind?
No.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do the best. We didn't do the best Mortal Kombat character.
Sure about that?
I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about that.
All right. Well,
I'll double check real quick, but do the next one because this was definitely.
Yeah, Jim's gonna double check that
because the next one you have up was the most recent video game one.
Yeah, it's very possible we're behind.
I think we're a week behind than we normally are.
We did the best PA beer, right?
Yeah, we did that one.
So then it was the best Mortal. We would have said it at the same time, unless we were in the middle of it. I'm almost positive we did that.
Well, do the next one that you have up there real quick, and then I'll look this up.
All right.
This is what we call prep work, people.
So, the last video game one that we just completed was the best sports video game. And I got to say, this has been one of the most requested for us to do, especially by a lot of people I send these brackets to. They kept asking, and you know what? It took me a while to compile the actual list, but I decided I'm going to make a list of 64. I tried to first keep it to the 4 major American sports, being, football, basketball, baseball, and hockey. And then I was like, you know what? We have a lot of European viewers, and a lot of people in America love soccer. Got to throw that in there. I love boxing. Threw it in there. And then I just, that kept expanding to tennis, to golf. It was basically everything but wrestling and racing, because I didn't want to throw those in there. So, Jim, have you looked at these results yet?
I don't typically look at the results. I like to surprise myself when I get here.
That's just code for doesn't do any prep. Yeah, exactly.
I've got nothing.
So, number 1.
Hey, it's a good beer.
You know what? Since it's 32, we're going to do the reverse. We'll go from 10 to 1.
Okay.
Be goddamn professional.
Build some suspense?
Yes. Number 10, NFL Blitz. What you think about that?
Fine by me. I kind of think maybe that would have been a little higher, but just because of how huge the Blitz franchise was in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. No, it's a great...
arcade staples ported everywhere.
Yeah. Number 9, Madden NFL 2004.
The most notorious Madden. Up there with probably the 93 engine.
Yeah.
Just because Mike Vick was a god in it.
That game was... I have always said I've never been huge into sports games. I actually had this one, and I even loved the hell out of it. Because my only reference before this was my brother kicking my ass in the Genesis games. So somehow I ended up getting this one. And I was like, wow, this is really fun. Yeah, I felt like that was everyone we know's college experience of playing this competitively with their friends.
Oh, yeah. Man, high school for us.
Number 8, Blades of Steel.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah. I knew it would be high.
I think if any NES ones are up there, that should definitely be the one to be up there.
I think there's a couple other NES ones.
Ice hockey's good.
Yeah.
But, if I was going to have one of them be in the top 10, it would be Blades of Steel, probably.
Yeah, and after replaying it, it's fun because... We played it, and I think we both thought it was going to be better than it was. Not saying it was bad.
Right.
But I remember, other than getting into the fights, the actual playing was a little rough. Still fun, though. Not shitting on it. The next one, admittedly, never played it before, was NBA Street Volume 2.
However, I never really played the Street series that much.
It's just at my Goodwill. Got it for $2.
Oh, there you go.
So have it on a PS2. So Jim and I are going to play through that, and we'll see how it is.
Yeah. I remember NBA Street being popular.
Oh, yeah. There was the NFL Street series and the NBA. Was there MLB or NHL?
Not really.
Yeah.
They had their versions of, Blitz, but they never had a Street one, really.
Oh, it's a shame. Number 6, Madden 97.
That's surprising to me.
Not to me because of all the Genesis ones. For the Madden, that's the one I always remember people liking the most.
That was the first good one on PlayStation, wasn't it?
Yes. Because I'm trying to think. I think for the Genesis, it was 93 to...
I think it went up to... that was from 90 to 96 or something.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I always confuse the Madden and the NHL series on the Genesis.
I think they both went to 96.
Yeah. No, but the Madden 97 on the PlayStation, that was another one.
I do remember that my cousin had it, and I was like, holy crap, what a step up in graphics.
I just remember This was one. Brother got it, even though we shared a PlayStation at the time. And all I knew is I loved doing the shotgun and just big bombs. And I forget which team I was, but it worked like every time. Pissed my brother off to no end. Number 5, and this one shocked me because I thought it would actually be higher, is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. This game, along with the first one, revolutionized Tony Hawk and skateboarding. I mean, every asshole, including me, thought we could go out and try to do some skateboarding tricks. Couldn't do them for shit, but sold a lot of skateboards, and you didn't think you could have that much fun with a skateboarding game.
Yeah, like number 1 was such a massive hit, and then number 2 just perfected everything.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, arguably 3 was the last, like, really good one.
Yeah, but 2 was just that, like...
2 is almost perfection.
Yeah, exactly, and... When I was doing research for this list to keep it down to 64 entries, I was amazed how many I even think like ESPN had this as the best sports game of all time.
I can see that.
So I was torn. I actually went back and forth with Jim. Should I even put it in the list? Is it really a sport? There was a lot of that talk going on. You definitely have skill, but either way, I was like, okay.
X Games have been around long enough at this point. I think it's fine.
Yeah. But I expected that to actually be higher. But not to say the top 4 are bad at all.
No, I mean, you can switch any of these in spots, really.
Yeah. So number 4, NHL 94. That was without question everyone's favorite NHL game.
From the 16-bit days, yeah.
Even
further. It's still a lot of people's favorite of all time.
Yeah, and this was single-handedly the first game I think I broke a Sega Genesis controller on. My brother did the goddamn wraparound move. You go around the back of the net, and you score on the goalie, and it's unstoppable because it's a glitch in the game. And stupid me, I didn't play enough Genesis. He would always, like, giggle and be like...
You're trying to do one-timers left and right.
I'm trying to do actual, you take it up to the net. No. My brother just kept doing it, and it was probably... How old was I at that time? I was...
You were like 6 or 8.
I was 8. So my brother was 12 or 13, and he just kept doing it. And he would be like one of the worst teams, but it didn't matter because he knew that trick. So it drove me crazy, and I remember just smashing the controller, and he yelled for my mom. So.
Oh, you with some rage. What a surprise.
Number 3 is Punch-Out!, which
this one you could argue whether or not this one is a real sport game, because you can argue if it's really a real boxing game, too.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that saying. Like, people call it. It's really kind of like a puzzle game.
Yeah.
It's a pattern game.
It's like Simon.
But everyone thinks of it. It's a boxing game.
I mean, I'm fine with it being there.
Yeah. Put away the mechanics. What I will say is, this game is stupid fun. But as far as like a level of in-depth strategy or whatnot, it's lacking compared to a lot of these other games. So I'm shocked it's this high. And that game wasn't 2-player, right?
No.
Yeah, so that amazed me too. I thought 2-player games were a cinch for this list, but people love Punch-Out!, and for a damn good reason. It's one of the most memorable NES games, and definitely NES boxing games there are, so.
Oh, yeah.
No shocker there. Number 2, NBA Jam. Was there any doubt that was going to be in the top 5?
I definitely thought this was going to be up there.
Yeah, undoubtedly the best basketball game. If you're trying to go simulation and you like the newer ones, we get that. But for fun and just, once again, it brought people who may or may not like basketball into the fold. Once you got on fire and did that goddamn dunk, the over-exaggerated announcers go, he's on fire. Like, it's just so many things I love. The big head mode.
It's got a charming character for days.
That one, I think it was the tournament edition or something that had, you could be Scorpion and who's the other secret characters?
I forget.
But yeah.
Wasn't like Bill Clinton a secret character?
Yeah, him and Hillary, I think, were actually.
Jesus.
So, love that. Expected it to be this high, but number 1.
This one I thought for sure was going to be the shoo-in, but I kind of underrated NBA Jam, but it makes sense that that's such a close number 2.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the lines, it's like almost exact. But it's Tecmo Super Bowl.
Tecmo Super Bowl, baby. And
people still they update the rosters to this day to it.
And we've talked about this game many, many times. when Jim and I, played through all the NES football games. I think almost all of the 16-bit games, right?
I know we haven't reviewed them, but we did play through them.
Yeah, and
before we burn out.
I mean, it's just so goddamn clear cut. And we just talked about some of the more modern ones that are in this top 10. But Tecmo Super Bowl, I don't care if you like football or not. Play this. It doesn't take a genius to learn the plays really quick, and you're just gonna have stupid fun. The cutscenes, the music, the easy control. I mean,
when we went to too many games, half the floor in the gaming room was still a tournament for Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's
in 2018, like 30 years later.
Yeah, so that is, I think, and as according to our fans, without doubt, the best sports video game of all time. So,
what did you have as your number one?
Tecmo Super Bowl. It came down to that and NBA Jam. What'd you have, Jim?
You're gonna hate me.
All right, so if I'm thinking Jackass Jim,
how dare you, sir?
I'm gonna say you're gonna say something stupid like Hot Shots Golf. Is it Hot Shots Golf?
It's Hot Shots Golf.
God damn it, Jim! Let your shitty nostalgia get out the window. Accept the fact that it's nowhere.
It's not even that nostalgic. Like 10 years ago.
I'm saying you have nostalgia for it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm saying...
And my number 2 is Mutant League Hockey.
That's fine. That's at least more understandable than goddamn Hot Shots, goddamn golf. Where is that on this list, Jim?
It wasn't high.
Let's see.
It was not high.
Mutant League Football is number 23. Oh, wait, you said hockey.
Yeah.
Mutant League Hockey is number 40.
Oof.
And,
Hot Shots Golf 4, number 49.
49.
Man, good thing my first place put it above a few.
Yeah, your first place put it just above Baseball Stars, and it's still under Baseball Simulator 1000. And Bases Lows above that. A lot of the baseball games are...
You talk nostalgia with this stupid...
So, one thing I wanted to point out, it drives me crazy, and I knew putting it in there I thought it would be high, but Wii Sports is number 11.
It was a system seller.
I'm so happy it didn't make the top 10, because it was a system seller, but it was just so gimmicky.
Fun.
It was fun for the first, 5 times you played it, and then every asshole, like Jim, was, staying at home in his boxers just learning, I can do the perfect bowl by going like this.
And actually, I never perfected that.
And it's one of those games, like I said, it's especially when it came out, it was you were drunk, or if you had family over for Christmas. Yeah, it was, everyone could come and play, but, it wore off, and you never played it by yourself. And if you did, that's bad.
Hi.
So, maybe that'll be an overrated, underrated game in the future, Jim.
That'll be a great overrated, underrated.
Yeah, sure will. I won't give away my
sure
opinion.
I'm really curious to see what you're going to say.
So, I'll round out and just say what the bottom 5 were. Starting with number 60 was Tecmo NBA Basketball. Of the basketball games I put on here, it doesn't shock me that's the lowest. We didn't even think that game was that great, but it's very well remembered and very, a lot of people like it. Number 61, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004. I'm not shocked at all because we don't have, I think, a ton of fans that are big golf fans, but this is regarded as hardcore golf fans' favorite game. 62, the entry Jim said I had to put in here because it would get so many votes.
I'm shocked that this is so low.
Sensible Soccer.
We have a shitload of UK followers and Twitter followers, and they're always like, well, sensible soccer. So I get him to put it on here. I forget what we kicked off for it. Doesn't matter. But so we put it on here, and it's third from last.
It got 16 votes total.
Barely a sport.
So I don't know what it is. I saw the screenshots. That's
I've never played it.
It's a soccer game. 63 was a game I struggled to put on there, but I wanted more variety than just baseball and football games. So I threw in Greatest Heavyweights from the Sega Genesis.
That's a good game.
And you know what? I never played it before we went to that.
Too many games.
Too many games. And Jim and I, it was one of the free stations opened. That game was really fun, and it was really intense.
Yeah, it's an update of Evander Holyfield's boxing. It just put all the all-timers in there for the roster.
And it was we didn't know what the hell we were doing, and it was still just a cool, intense. And anyway, it's just an all-around solid boxing game. And then 64, Top Spin Tennis 4.
What?
Not shocked, but of the popular tennis games, that's like one of the more popular new ones. So either way, was there anything on this list, Jim, you were shocked wasn't higher, or?
I would have to go with Sensible Soccer. I'm actually surprised Rocket League is only like in the middle.
Yeah, but honestly, that game is fun, but it's not as well known as half of these. And most of these type of lists are...
I would argue it's more well known than 90% of these games.
It's well known by people 15 and under, Jim. Let's put it that way. And this list is all about people who are going to build their nostalgia into this. And let's face it, most of the people that watch us are older. And
True.
They're going to go with games they grew up with. So, stop playing.
I'm trying to find the brackets.
And, yeah.
I don't want to use Facebook, which we never post on. That would be way easier. Use my brain.
So, either way, we love how we had about a little under 2,700 votes. It's huge.
Yeah.
We thank you guys, and expect. I don't want to give it completely away because I haven't fully decided, but there will be many more video game ones, our 64 entries, because the categories are going to get a whole lot tougher for us. So, anything else you want to say before we go?
Nah, I'm pretty good on this one.
Okay. All right. So, I know Jim is still attempting. Yes, we did talk about it. Oh, no, we talked about. All right. Either way.
Yeah, so we were 3 behind.
All right, so.
Got one more for you.
Sorry, guys. Listen to this podcast. I don't love spending, and I'm going to probably go through this one a lot faster than usual.
Yeah, we can blast through this one.
But the best Mortal Kombat fighter. God damn, I really feel like we went through this.
No, we never went through this one. Mortal Kombat won best fighting genre. We never went through the character one.
All right. So, since we did the entire...
all the fighting series, so the follow-up was going to be the best character from the winning fighting series, which was Mortal Kombat for some goddamn reason. So
talk about that real quick, Jim, as I look at something.
Talk about what, the bracket itself, or the fact that well, with a lot of these ones, if you can tell by now, we like to follow up on previous winners with some more in-depth ones. So, like the best PA breweries, we picked the best PA beer from like the 4 that won that. So with our best Mortal Kombat, with Mortal Kombat being the best fighting game series, we decided, all right, let's pick a whole bunch of our favorite fighters and put them against each other. Luckily, we didn't get a lot of Where's Tanya or stuff like that.
Well, no, we didn't, actually.
Not this time. We got in our top 10 best Mortal Kombat fighters, or worst Mortal Kombat fighters. We had a lot of, oh no, I love this person or that person.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that as much here. But... yeah, so this is a follow-up to our best fighting game one. So, Brian.
Yeah, and it was kind of unanimous. I was shocked it was as clear-cut as it was, but Sub-Zero won, which was Jim and I's pick.
By a pretty wide margin. He was my pick.
Yeah, so Sub-Zero has always been my favorite character in Mortal Kombat. Blue's always been my favorite color. He's of Ice, Ninja... what's not to love about him? He's
the only way you can easily beat Kintaro and Shao Kahn in Mortal Kombat 2 on a Genesis. Holy shit.
Well, I didn't worry about that, because I can beat the game with skill. But...
I want to watch. I want to watch this.
I will say, Sub-Zero and Scorpion have always... I mean, even though Liu Kang is the original, like, he's the hero of the series, Sub-Zero and Scorpion were always the faces, and... when we were doing all the Mortal Kombat games, I did a lot of research and found out Scorpion was definitely in a lot more other games. Sub-Zero did appear in some other outside games, but Scorpion had appearances in so many random shit. Baseball games, Siphon Filter games. The list is crazy.
He's easily like the most recognizable character.
That's what I mean.
He had the catchphrase.
Yeah, I mean, and they throw him in the Marvel versus, what's it called?
DC.
Injustice game.
Oh.
So that made it huge too. But he was number 2. Number 3 was Raiden. No shock. Badass.
Yeah, 4 Liu Kang, 5 Kitana.
Yeah. So it went pretty standard. Obviously, as we're talking, I'll be showing you guys a video of me scrolling through during the little segment video. So we'll just talk about the final 5. Starting with number 28 was Shiva.
Yeah.
Female Goro. She was always... I loved her stomp, but it was just like Goro's, and I loved her grab and punch. But,
she has some cool fatalities.
Yeah.
It's like the one where she rips like the skin off your body.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Cyrex, number 29.
Poor Cyrex.
I know you wish it was higher, especially with his world-ending fatality.
Was that him or was that Smoke? I thought that was Smoke who had the world-ending one.
They both had it, actually.
Did he?
I'm almost positive.
You're probably right. Maybe in a later game.
Ermac, he was the Red Ninja. Like he was basically the soul-stealing or soul-manipulating Red Ninja. He was always kind of cool, but kind of... No one paid that much attention. Kung Lao I expected to be higher.
Yeah, I'm surprised with Kung Lao.
Especially because some of his, especially in 9, those brutal-ass fatalities where he throws it and pulls the dude towards it.
Yeah.
Just ripping your nuts in half first.
He had some really cool fatalities. And like his backstory lore, like if you're a nerd about that.
Cool.
Yeah.
And number 32, Chinook, doesn't shock me.
Yeah, who cares about Chinook?
I'm sure, Jim, you wanted Stryker to be last. But he was 27.
I would have been fine with him being last.
I know you hate him.
But Chinook, I'm fine with being 0. Nightwolf being 23.
That makes sense.
Has his fans.
I'm shocked Rain is as high as 17.
I'm a little shocked, too.
A lot of people like Rain more than Gemini, and I still can't get it. He's kind of cool. Like he's like Aquaman with lightning abilities because he controls the water, and especially his later fatalities are all about the water surrounding. I don't know. He's kind of odd. I expected Baraka to be a little higher than 14. I'm shocked Quan Chi beat him, and quite frankly, Shang Tsung.
You know what? Quan Chi deserves it just for that beating you to death with your own leg fatality alone.
That is awesome. And all the rest are pretty much what you would expect. I thought Melina would go higher than Katana, though, because she is so much more badass. The fact that she's basically a Baraka, but hotter, and yeah.
Boobs.
Yes, Jim, boobs. Damn it.
I do like Melina, and she always had a cool moveset, too.
And plus that goddamn teleporting kick. No,
and the rolling ball.
Yeah, so thank you guys. This one, we got a little over 1,700 votes.
Solid.
You know, just keeps proving Mortal Kombat's the best, Jim.
God damn it. But yeah, so currently right now we have the best New Jersey beer bracket going. And so by the time we do another Power Hour, we'll have that and another video game one to go through. We'll try to do it again in 2 weeks so we don't have this huge backlog. But
yeah. So thank you guys for that. And now, once again, apologize for anyone listening on iTunes or anywhere else. We're done with bracket stuff now. Let's move on to our actual topics. Jim, the one I'm sure you're ready to pop a big boner for.
I mean, it's been like a week since it came out, but this blew up the internet when it came out. Streets of Rage 4. Trailer dropped last week. People are having mixed opinions on the art style of it so far. As far as we know, only 2 playable characters with Axel and Blaze, but looks like it's going to be set a little further down the line. Axel looks like hell.
Blaze just has a beard.
Looks like hell.
Because he has a beard?
He still has the cool sneakers, though. Still has his 90s sneakers.
I mean, I guess they're supposed to be older. That's all I didn't. Blaze looks exactly the same.
But, I mean, we have no info on it, really. Like, they showed a couple gameplay clips. We don't know anything about the story or blah, blah, blah.
So, what'd you think of the little bit you saw?
Looks like it could be okay. The art style, I'm kind of, like, I think it looks good. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, it should be pixelated. I'm sick of pixelated crap. Like, we're in a day and age, if you can make it look better, don't be lazy, make it look better. But besides that, the art style may take a little time to get used to. As long as the mechanics are there and it's fun, then I'm fine with it. I think some of the people who were behind the Wonder Boy remaster, Wonder Boy and Monster Trap, that just came out last year. I think some of the people behind that are either publishing this or helping in development, so that's cool there. Yuzo Koshiro, though, no one knows whether he's going to be involved or not, and he actually said that he can't comment at this time. So a lot of people were worried about that because it just won't be the same without him.
Yeah. When I saw this, and Jim and I fondled Streets of Rage's balls long enough.
Never enough.
Does it need to be made? That's a question. Because the only thing my only fear is if it's not good. I mean, it already went downhill with 3. I'm not saying 3's bad, but 2 set a standard that basically no game is going to follow
or is ever.
So it's like 3, I felt like went too weird, too hard. Music was much terrible.
We don't need to talk about this again.
But so my only fear is if 4 continues a trend down and is somehow worse than 3. Like what was that when they remade? It was a remake, but they also did the Ninja Turtle game, kind of in this shell shade style.
Well, yeah,
everyone panned the shit out of that.
When they redid Turtles in Time, it wasn't good.
And then they did the same thing with the Double Dragon, which got mixed reviews.
Well, Double Dragon Neon, people seem to like a lot, but Double Dragon 4, which is the more recent one, people crapped on a lot. I didn't play either of them.
Which, once again, kind of has this style.
Retro, like number 4 revivals have not had good luck. Sonic 4, Double Dragon 4.
So that's where I was going with this. Like, it seems like there's this big push to make games in this art style, which I don't care about. I mean, the graphics aren't more or less appealing. I, of course, love the old pixelated from the Sega Genesis style. I don't care about a game so much because of that. I think it's just being overdone with this style at this point, and people are going to be more weary because when I see that style, I'm now associating it with all these new games that have been getting panned left and right. So I'm like,
I mean, it doesn't scream Streets of Rage.
No.
I mean, like, the character designs are there, like, they're familiar, but it definitely, like, even with how different, say, between 1 and 2 is, it still feels like Streets of Rage.
Oh, yeah, and the difference is just that it's so much more. I mean,
so I would, you know what? That might be a point in its favor, though. Like, 1 to 2 was such an upgrade and, like, a different style, really.
Yeah.
Like, you can say from 2 and 3 to 4, like, you can justify it.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to go back to the pixel style, and I really don't expect them to. It's just, it's tough for me to say. It's like this style has this is the look of this age, of the past 5 years. Like, if a game's a beat 'em up and it's especially a 2D beat 'em up or a 2.5D, it's going to be in this style, it feels like. Just my general things. Have Max in there. Don't be stupid. It's like everyone knows he's the best. Jim sucks as him, and I proved that by doing much better on our playthrough and winning. And
I didn't get the chance to play.
That's not the point, but the point is,
someone
throw Max
him from me.
Throw Max in there. You could probably leave out everybody else. Throw goddamn Max in there.
Well, I was always the weird characters. I was always Adam, Max, and Zan. So
you were Skate if I'd let you be.
Just keep going.
So, and the other thing is going to be really tough, man. The soundtrack. I've said it multiple times. Streets of Rage, known for notorious soundtracks with 1 and 2. And with this particular game, it's going to be like either they're going to try too hard to emulate those old sound styles.
That's a worry.
Or they're going to come up with something new. But is it going to be as good? Probably not. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this game, I feel like better come out for $20.
Yeah, I mean,
it better be cheap. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm of course gonna play it,
right?
But I feel like if you get your hopes too high, they're
like this is one of those ones almost up there, like with say Duke Nukem Forever before it finally came out, or fucking Half-Life 3, which should never come out.
Or how about that goddamn game that we played, Perfect or. Mighty Number 9.
That was kind of up in the same level, but it didn't have like the whole backlog. Well, I don't know.
That guy.
Actually, Keiji Inafune was involved, so everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be just as good as the others."
It's gonna be Mega Man. It's gonna be the greatest game ever, and it went through years and years, and then it came out, and it was It felt like a training game for a Mega Man game. Like it let everyone down, and I just don't want to see that be like. Basically, you have half this Streets of Rage series being amazing, and then the other half sucking. I don't want that. I want Streets of Rage to be great.
Yeah, I mean, the hype train behind it's so huge. Like, I don't see how it won't be a disappointment unless it completely knocks it out of the park.
I hope they do. So, we'll see.
Here's hoping.
Want to see what you guys have to say. I know Jim's obviously been talking with a lot of you on Twitter, but send us some comments below. Let us know if you think it's going to be a success, what you want to see in the game, what you don't want to see. Let us know. All right, so this one is kind of a two-part, and I will admit I heard about this first one from the
Pat's podcast.
Pat's Completely Unnecessary podcast. I know there's a lot of stupidity right now going on with gaming, parenting, too many things going on. but there was multiple, I guess, articles, if you want to call that, written about parents who were hiring tutors to teach their kids how to play Fortnite. This particular one I'm referencing is the Wall Street Journal. Link below, you can read about it.
Jesus Christ.
So to give you an idea, some woman, Allie Hicks, was upset because her 10-year-old son wasn't very good at playing Fortnite and was getting picked on for it. She hired a coach for about $50 for 4 hours of online lessons to play through this. So, I won't go through the entire article, but essentially, she's just saying that like there's a big pressure for kids to be good at playing this because think of it almost like, when you had your kid playing in some kind of sport and they weren't very good. Well, you would take them to practice or do, not school-related leagues or you would do what you could to have them play, or in some terms, if you think of academics. Regardless of your stance on that, I hate the fact that they're making it like he's being picked on. Kids pick on kids all the time, and forget the Fortnite thing. If you sucked at a video game, you were made fun of no matter what. What do you think arcades were? Like, if you went up and got your ass busted by the best player, you got some shit talk to you.
Right, that's bullying, though. Can't have our kids be bullied.
Christ. I know. Thin skins out there. But the fact that you're willing... I mean, if somebody's able to make some money tutoring a kid on how to play a game, that's the beauty of capitalism right there. That's all I can say. More power to that dude. Any parent willing to pay this money are jackasses, in my opinion. And, in general, we know competitive gaming is becoming much more real, and we're going to talk about something else with that in the next topic. But what do you think of this? Like, what's your take? I know I just put this on here, but what do you think?
I mean, to me, it's dumb. Like, my initial reaction would be to say, why? It's just a video game. But here's the thing. To play devil's advocate, when we were growing up, playing video games, you were still, like, if you were, like, the hardcore video gamer kind of deal, you were the dorks, you were the nerd, crap like that. No one really cared whether or not you were good at video games, except for other people you're playing with. These days, goddamn, everyone plays video games. So it could be a thing where in different social circles, especially in school-age kids, it could really matter to these people. So, I mean, I know from looking from, well, basically our one brother-in-law who's 10, but watching him grow up, there was a time where he went through the phases where every single kid in school, all they do is sit, watch YouTube videos, and talk about one game to the next. So for a while it was Minecraft. For a while it was Five Nights at Freddy's. Right now it's Fortnite. So, I mean, Fortnite might even be crazier than the other ones, I guess, because of the true competitive nature of it. Mm-hmm. So I think that's like that one ace in the hole that was missing from the other two. So maybe it is important to these kids to do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I would. I'd be like, if you want to get good, play more after your homework. You do whatever. You got to find a balance too, because I still think playing and dedicating that much time to video games, and this is coming from us, is still not good.
Yeah.
You need to have a balance with everything in life. So, I mean, did you hear about that friggin' Russian kid who chopped his own head off because he kept losing at a video game?
Well, and
did it with a chainsaw, which is the most metal way he could possibly do it.
Also the friggin' idiot who shot up the place because he lost to the Madden tournament.
Well, that's a whole nother one.
I mean, losing in video, I said at the beginning of this podcast, the first controller I broke because I was angry over losing a game.
Oh, I broke a shitload of controllers.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're doing anything competitive, it could be goddamn Monopoly. We all know those stories. If you're losing in something competitive, you're going to get pissed. So I think it's a little disingenuous to get so like, oh my God, you're going to get that upset over a video game. People get mad over every stupid thing. Look at friggin' golf when it's not for real money. People get bend their goddamn, like,
yep.
You're going to get mad over anything.
Look at Serena this past weekend, smashing her stick, or her stick.
So it's like, and to Jim's point, I get it. Like, if you're a parent and you're seeing your kid, that's the thing they do.
And you know what? Like, since we're both parents now, like, when you see your kid struggling with anything, you'll do whatever you want to, like, try and help them along.
Oh, absolutely. And it's easier right now because our kids are
infants.
But it's easy to say, well, if he's playing a video game, I'll say, go out, go play. Yeah, is that the world we're going to live in? Unfortunately, I grew up, you stayed outside all the time. You played video games when you're in at night. You didn't sit in and play video games. You didn't go outside and play video games on your, whatever.
Phone, Switch.
Game Boy.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. So, obviously, we grew up different. I guess it's just recognizing the world's different, for better or for worse. One thing I do want to point out on this is absolutely hilarious. It tells the story of this parent who decided to get lessons privately because his 7 and 9-year-old were whooping his ass so much. And they became suspicious of their dad all of a sudden getting good. So now all three take lessons separately. And the guy says, my oldest is better than me, no doubt about it. And I want at a minimum to hang at his level. He tries to squeeze private sessions in during the workday at the marketing agency he runs, but has to cut time short because he had grown-up stuff to do. Some parents set a low bar for success. Not dying in the first 2 minutes would be nice. What the fuck?
That guy's an asshole.
No.
I played a shitload of video games with my dad. And you know what? Because I'm the one who spent all the time doing it, of course I kicked his ass in it.
Yeah.
So, he would obsess over his pinball games, and we would go back and forth a lot with golf games. But the part of it is spending time with your kid, not fucking beating them. Why are you worried about not beating your kid?
People are people, but
oh my God, Jesus Christ.
As grown men who play video games still, and pretty obsessively, I'd say, this is still kind of sad to just see in general. And please,
hearing that statement's rough.
Just do yourself a favor. Please don't hire a goddamn coach to help your kids play Fortnite or any video game for that matter. Which brings me to the next topic. This one comes to us from Fortune.com. And I heard about this from multiple news outlets. But video games may be part of the 2024 Olympics. So we've talked about many times. We know in China and Korea, video games are a national sport.
StarCraft is still a national sport in South Korea.
And there's huge esport things where people can win up to $24 million. It's absolutely insane. And I hate myself for saying this, but you know what? Of some of the sports that are in the Olympics...
You're going to go with curling, aren't you?
I'm going to go with, curling, obviously, but I'm going to go with...
Or gymnastics with the little wand and the tassels.
The ribbon thing. What is a sport is a very interesting... I get in this debate with people I work with all the time because, I look at a lot of things like things are a hobby or require a very high level of skill. Like, if you ever go against someone who's really good at pool, there's shit they're going to be able to do that you could never do.
Yep.
Is it a sport? I don't think so. I think it's a game. I would personally put golf on that same level.
Right, Mike Massey would disagree with you.
He can. That's why this is a beautiful country. But I don't know. I look at it what the fuck? If you're going to count some of these other things as sports, I guess video games. I just don't want to see Americans get their ass whooped by Koreans, Chinese all the time. That's all. There's going to be some countries that won't even be able to contend.
Michael Phelps is going to need to swim till 40 for us to keep up with these freaking gold medals.
I just, hey, and if you've ever seen any little bits of esports or competitive gaming on a higher level, it's mind-boggling. The concern I have is, this goes back to what I just said, parents will now all of a sudden see, there could be a career for this in my kid to, maybe I should, instead of telling them, don't do extracurriculars or your extracurricular is go play Fortnite. Could you imagine your parents think of the shit they put you through for academia if they said, Jim, go play your game so you can get better?
Oh, I'd wind up hating it.
That's my fear.
That's why I quit piano and took up drums, because I hated piano lessons.
Games are supposed to be fun and a form of escapism, whatever you want to call it.
And not to say that these esports players don't put the time in like normal athletes do too.
No. That's what I'm saying.
It is their life.
It's a job, and I'll admit, there's a little part of me when I play a game, my mind goes to is this a game we're going to review? Should I be recording footage for when I finally get to sit down and just play a game for fun is so much different than in any form of working, reviewing, or competing. You know, when we play Call of Duty, PUBG, or any competitive game, there's a different sensation than when you play a single-player experience and you're just really enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like this is going to ruin actual gaming for a lot of people that won't even want to discover single-player games because they're going to think about a career or a lifestyle in competitive gaming. And I think that will actually, in the long run, hurt gaming.
See, it's weird because, like, my first initial thought would be, oh, this is a publicity stunt. And the Olympics, they draw in all the ratings. They don't need the publicity.
They need better ratings. And what better than kids? If you get your kids...
I don't think they need the ratings that badly, though. Like, the years are on. They dominate TV.
But
they could always have more. They could always have more. This is like the fucking... To me, this is almost like the Oscars putting in most popular movies a category now.
Yeah. They're trying to change with the times. But I would say to anyone completely turning their nose down, I don't care who you are. You can get all the tutoring you want. If you're playing a high-level player in a certain game, you're probably never going to get up to that level and be able to beat them. That's all I'm saying.
It's going to be like anything else where some people are just naturally designed to be better. It's
like darts or any of those other things that they're not really sports. They're just games. So it's nuts. It kind of makes me sad in general just for the fact that I think, like you said, thinking long-term, this will hurt video gaming as a fun activity versus it will only become a competitive, douchey activity.
And, like, it really depends, too, on what games they're going to pick because so many of, like, the really super popular esports games, you can't just turn it on and watch it.
No.
Like, you can't have, like, one of the MOBAs out there and be like, oh, let me check out this League of Legends Olympic event and understand what the hell's going on. But Call of Duty's easy.
Yeah.
You run around, you shoot people, you do blah. Fine. But some of these games, man, like Call of Duty would be a fine one, or any of that ilk. Rocket League would be a fine one. StarCraft, no. MOBAs, no.
But that's what most of the...
Which are the most hardcore esports things.
Yeah. So that's what
I just don't think it'll work.
We're gonna. This will be a topic I'm gonna keep like reviewing, and for future podcasts, I'll probably keep bringing up because I want to see where it goes. But I just,
like I don't know the ins and outs of like bobsledding and what it takes to be a bobsledder, but I know that I can turn it on and enjoy what I'm watching.
Like you enjoy curling?
I can sit through some curling.
You can sit through a lot.
I can sit through a lot.
All right, so
and have.
So let us know what you guys think about all this. Tutoring, gaming Olympics. I'm very curious. I want to get your take. Alrighty, so while Jim opens up the next beer, we're going to go ahead and look at his topic that he put up, and I'll do a little bit of reading. So, Polymega launch trailer reveals the Sega Saturn support. And for those of you who don't know, this is off of NintendoLife.com. I'll just try and recap as much as I can. The Polymega...
Start pouring and then
yep,
weaving out.
The Polymega is kind of touted as the world's most compatible gaming console.
Yeah, it's a new emulation machine that basically it has different things you can pop off of it, so you can put on different. Why can't I not think of the word? Almost like modules for like different consoles, and so it comes in with native CD support, so it can do Turbografix CD, PS1. Maybe
Neo Geo
CD, a whole shitload of them.
Sega CD, and now Saturn is the newest one. But there's also, to Jim's point, expanded compatibility, the modules, as he was saying, for the NES, Super NES, Turbografx 16, Genesis, and Mega Drive. So the system itself, the best way I can say, it kind of looks like a Comcast cable router.
Yeah.
And the controller looks kind of exactly like an Xbox controller, except it's like a little tighter, like a PlayStation.
It's got like Xbox buttons with like a DualShock layout for the sticks.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and you'll see the picture in a segment video I'll post. I like a lot of these emulation things Jim and I have noted. I'm more like, is this definitely going to be real, and how well is it going to play? Like, how many issues is it going to run into trying to play different games? It'll go through a period of a lot of problems, but it's super impressive. The Saturn is one of the systems of games we've tried to emulate, especially for the site for review
It's one of the hardest in general to emulate.
I've figured out a way to do it, but god damn is it annoying. So if they can get that right, That alone, honestly, I don't know.
And there is some controversy with this reveal about the Saturn II because they were showing clips, but they were showing clips from the Sega arcade boards, not from the Saturn ports themselves. So the Saturn hardcores out there were like, hey, that's like Sega Rally, the arcade. This isn't a port of it. So they're still wondering whether or not they can actually pull this off.
So I'm looking at the prices now, and you buy them in bundles. So, for example, the Ultimate Bundle, which includes a lot of different
controllers, a lot of different modules.
The NES, Super NES. So this should be kind of everything. Is about $600. That looks like it includes the NES, Super NES, Genesis, controllers, Turbografix, Neo Geo, PlayStation, Saturn, and I think that one's it. But for $600, if this thing can perfectly emulate all those systems.
And I think after the first time you rip a ROM, I may be wrong on this, but after the first time you rip a ROM, I think it stays on the console. Like, I think it's built into the memory.
Okay.
So I don't know if you need to keep putting your cartridges in or not, but
I would like any new emulation thing. I hope you just do that. Like
any new way to just rip ROMs in general. Now Nintendo's fucking taking all the ROMs away from us. So
yeah, well, I'm actually amazed this is still a go with Nintendo capabilities.
Yeah, I mean it's just the machine. It's not the actual ROMs. They go after ROMs. They don't really care about the emulators themselves.
So there's a couple. So with each module, it looks like they do have the different controllers. So I guess that makes sense.
And I really doubt you need to buy all the different controllers for each.
No, so the base controller is the one we talked about. That looks like a weird amalgamation of Xbox and PS4. Then you can actually get like the old NES style, Super NES, 6-button Genesis, and the
6-button Turbo.
6-button Turbo. So I don't know why you really... I mean, I guess if you want the experience, that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see the need at all for the NES ones. Like, if you take your pick between the Super NES and the Genesis ones, really. But
yeah, I don't know. For me, honestly, because I've looked up Saturns before, and that is a system I really, really want. But I don't want to spend money on a whole new system with a whole new games. And
yeah, that's the reason I haven't gotten into Saturn collecting.
CD-based games are a pain in the ass. That doesn't change the fact that even if I got this, I'd need to buy those CD games.
Right, and they degrade way. They get disc rot way faster than a cartridge does.
So I don't know. That's I like that they're doing this because I always wondered when will they start doing more CD-based things. I don't know. Would you ever get that?
I mean,
especially because it has Turbografix CD. I know you like that.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of consoles it has is awesome. I don't know if I would want to spend $600 to have everything. But then again, if you want to think about it, I mean, that includes Neo Geo, that includes Turbografx, all the CD consoles. So I don't think it's a bad value. It's still a tough pill to swallow. Yeah. But I mean, I would wait and see how it reviews first.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how many.
I'm really interested to see how it winds up.
Like the list that will always come out, like for all these emulations, like the following list of games haven't worked yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, even like a lot of these new emulation things, like the Neo Geo for some reason has a bitch of a time. Like the Gold was considered a flop and like a crappy piece of hardware.
Yeah.
The new Neo Geo mini arcades that are coming out.
Yeah.
Like people are hyped for them because they look awesome, but from what I hear, like the control itself actually sucks. So.
Yeah, it's a fine line of what you're willing to pay, which is why I just emulate what you can.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys out there think this is something you would actually buy or really into,
hopefully you all torrented the emulator, the ROMs back in 2009.
If not, email Jim. He has them all. All right, so this moves us on to our. You know what? Before we get this, Jim, how you liking this new beer? And how'd you like the Scarecrow?
No, the Scarecrow was good. When I first took the sips, I definitely got the aftertaste hints of like cinnamon and the allspice and all that stuff. So it was good. Easy to drink. Went down smooth. The more I went on with it, like I think the less I was like noticing all the different flavors.
Yeah,
it kind of blended together at that point. It's kind of a weakish aroma, but overall it's a perfectly fine drinking beer.
Like I said, to me, it's the best,
It's tasty.
It's the best session beer for a pumpkin beer.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call it a pumpkin beer even though there's not true pumpkin in it.
Yeah. But no, it's in that family.
This one, I'll say right off the bat, the barrel aging, you can taste really up front. Pretty strong boozy, and like every type of stout, the coffee and cocoa are really like, that's what you taste really, and it's like kind of a, when it leaves your mouth, it gives you like a really dry, bready kind of mouthfeel. Like it actually kind of takes away moisture from your tongue. It like leaves you just kind of like
a little dry mouthy, yeah.
But damn good, like most of the stuff from there. All right, Jim. So I know you can't wait to get to this. And I'll let you go first on this because I'm a nice guy. So we're going back to which is better. And if you all remember last one, Jim tried to trap me with...
You motherfucker. You trapped me first. You piece of shit. Don't you dare say you didn't trap me.
We can go back
when
and
you
forth.
did Twisted Metal and
Just because I'm getting you with better ones and you gave me a silly throw-up.
Well, this is a throw-up, too, because which is better, the Sega Genesis or the Turbografix 16? Like your goddamn round one of the best video game consoles. Once again, not giving the goddamn Turbo a chance, because of course it's the Sega Genesis.
But Jim, I thought the Turbo was so good.
It is goddamn good. It's just not as good as the Sega Genesis. Especially if we're talking Turbografx 16. If we're talking PC Engine, then maybe there's more of an argument there.
They're the same.
That's a big difference.
They're the same.
Hardware-wise, yes. But even then, the Sega Genesis just has such a more robust library of all-time games. I love my Turbo, but it's definitely more niche. It's the goddamn Genesis. You're a dick.
Okay, Jim, well, let's break this down a little bit. Which one has a better controller?
Genesis.
All right. Which one has...
The 6-button controller's better.
So the Turbo, since I'm not as familiar, what did that have? Like 130 games?
North America, it only wound up with like 90-some games, maybe with like 130 to 150 with the CD attachment. Over in Japan, I think it had like 700-800 some. It had a giant library over there. It was a success.
And was there any third-party games for that? Or were they mostly all first?
For the especially in America, it was mostly first party. There were some Sega licenses on there and like a few from others. Again, the PC Engine had a lot more support from other companies.
So, Jim, you know why Daddy had to throw this on here, right?
Because fuck you, Jim.
Because I think it's time for you to recognize, if you're going to be such an obscure collector of shitty systems like the Turbografx, maybe you put that away and focus a little more on Sega and get some better games. I'm just saying. Get some better games.
I have like 150 quality games for my set.
Do you have the whole Phantasy Star library?
No, but from what I hear, 3 sucks. So I really only need to get 2.
Yeah, but...
I have the Power Base converter too, so I should get 1, but...
So at the end of the day...
I don't have the time for RPGs.
You should stop spending money on Turbografx.
Never.
And complete a good collection for the Sega.
And also, I maybe get like 3 Turbo games a year, so it's not like...
you know those are vastly more expensive than what you'd spend on most of the Genesis game you need to get.
Yeah. That's why I only get like 3 a year.
So then when I ask you which is better...
I already gave you the goddamn answer. You just wanted to make me say it again.
My answer is the Genesis as well.
Shock. I thought for sure you'd go Turbo.
This was just a F you to Jim, but also...
I thought you were going to tell me how JJ and Jeff was the best beat-em-up around.
But also, I just wanted to... I throw these up here also because I want to see what you fans have to say. If somebody out there can truly defend, and fuck it, I'll say PC Engine 2, the Japanese version. I've personally...
You know who was going to like the PC Engine more? I think actually, like, shooter fans, it'll be like up in the air because they both have giant shooter libraries. But there's better RPGs on the Turbo in general, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just, I want to see someone hardcore defend it. That's all. I want to see, like, good reasons for it. So, all right. And I just wanted to break your spirit.
Of course you were. Like, they're both systems that definitely have their own feel to them. They're both very, like, unique in general for, like, the libraries they have and just how they feel and play. But, I mean, yeah, the Genesis is better.
Yeah, the other thing I always notice with both of these is that they are just so vastly inferior to the Super NES.
Incorrect.
See how I set that up?
Incorrect.
I said it nice and calm.
Incorrect.
So let us know what you think below.
It's got RPGs. Shut up.
All right, Jim. So now that we've broken your spirit,
Ouch.
let's go to another bit we like to touch on, which is overrated, underrated. I'm gonna right off the bat say, if for some reason we already covered this, we apologize. We tried to look back. We thought we talked about this, but it's very possible. You know what? We may have talked about this on the podcast that we couldn't reproduce because the audio was so fucked up.
That could be it.
There was one podcast, and if you follow our site on iTunes or
like
YouTube,
the video was up, but it's really bad.
It's the audio is.
You might have taken that down too.
I think I probably hit it or took it down. Some weird reason, like halfway through, Jim's audio could not sync with mine.
That was the last podcast with my old laptop.
Yeah. So
luckily that was by tax return season, so I was able to buy a new one. But yeah, that was at the point where my laptop was just like, oh, this isn't working anymore.
Yeah, so if we already covered this and you happen to see a video or hear it, sorry, but we're going with IPAs. Are they overrated or underrated? I think Jim and I will probably be the same on this one.
Yeah.
And I'll start first since Jim talked more last time, and I think we're going to say it's similar. Okay, so for me, even after trying a gazillion beers, I still feel like IPAs are overrated. And I saw a meme that was really interesting. They said IPAs for beer drinkers are like pumpkin spice lattes for white girls. Like, they're that thing. Like,
I almost think the last time we talked about this, you said that quote too.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals where every person who starts getting into craft beer starts talking, have you had this IPA? Everything's about IPA. And as I've done a shit ton of research for the site, especially beer, for different things I'm planning in the future, there's only so many variety of hops you can use in a beer. And after a time, they start to blend. There are differences, like the Chinook and the Noble. You're going to notice a big difference in the smell and the taste. I would say to a trained mouth and nose. It's someone who's never drunk beer. If you do side by side, you're going to be like, okay, they both kind of taste bitter or whatever. Or they have a really like piney smell. There are differences, like the Citra hops have a much different aroma. But man, I've tried so many IPAs, and so many of them are similar. And I got to be honest, of all the beers, I've said multiple times on the site, I'm a big fan of stouts, of darker beers, of Belgians, triples. So there's a lot of, I like the stronger beers, and even a lot of the wit beers, as I said, is more of a casual drinking beer. IPAs are good, but I'm never going to want to sit down and drink more than 2 at a time. I'm never like dying to have an IPA. I enjoy them, but it's like they're such a weird niche beer in my eyes for like when's the right time to be drinking them, and people can't stop jerking them off. And the same people who do jerk them off are the ones that'll talk shit on people who, if you like pumpkin beers, if you like any beer with any type of fruit or too much spice, they're going, oh, it's not real beer. They're definitely the type that are going to talk shit on any macro breweries, even if you like them for a quick drink like Coors or Bud or whatever.
Or Keystone.
So I'm going to say they're overrated. There are some absolutely excellent IPAs, but the way they need to stop fondling the balls of these, it just stop doing it. They're good. There's better beer styles out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also in the overrated group. Here's the weird thing about IPAs. IPAs are the thing that a lot of, like, when all new beer drinkers go from, like, your Buds and Coors into craft beer, it's always with IPAs, and you always kind of hate IPAs at first.
Oh, yeah.
Even though there's so many more, like, approachable beer styles, like, even with triples or, wheat beers or, doubles or even porters or stouts, depending on what you go with there.
Yeah.
Like, sours, even. There's so many other options you can do, but, like, IPAs always feels like the thing that you, like, need to start drinking to be, like, a craft beer guy. Like, when I go beer shopping, like, I'll grab an IPA here or there, but, like, it's not the thing I go for. I'll go for Saisons or Hefeweizens or really anything before just, like, the straight-up IPA.
Yeah.
IPAs are almost, like, boring at this point.
Exactly.
Because it's just every brewery has them. I don't think they're the hardest thing in the world to make at this point. Like, the reason everyone can have, like, 13 different styles of IPA.
Yep.
So it's just, there's nothing special about them. And I do know, like, the curly mustached, scarf beer snobs in girl pants. Not that I'm generalizing or anything, but they're the same types who always be like, oh, I like this IPA because it tastes more like a dog's asshole. Oh, I like this one more because it tastes like a dog's asshole with a tree stick sticking out of it. So, like, it's almost like...
What conversations have you had, Jim?
I have had very lively conversations, obviously.
Down at Penny's?
Hey, dollar shots, man. You can't beat that.
They drink Genesee.
They do drink Genesee. But, yeah, going back to the thing, like, it's almost a thing where, like, everyone feels like they have to drink it, but it almost seems like no one likes it.
Yeah. And here's the deal: if you're an up and
not to say there aren't good IPAs, obviously, but
I will say I don't even count double IPAs in this conversation. That's a form of IPA. Double IPAs are much more delicious. I like them a lot more. But straight standard IPAs, if you're a new brewer, I get it. You have to have your IPA on tap because that's probably going to be your initial bestseller, or at least be able to put you in a realm. But some of these brewers that have like 3 different standard IPAs, you gotta stop that shit.
Yeah, like it's way more impressive to see like a craft brewery make, say, a Pilsner that people care about than, just another IPA.
Yep. And to Jim's point, I was thinking about this. I don't know a single person whose beer drinking experience didn't go like this. Whether you start at high school or mid-high school to college, it's usually your Coors, your Bud, your Miller,
your
light shit. You might have had a Corona or something.
I was going to say Corona, maybe a Guinness.
So some of those, but Guinness was the most, and everyone who has, I've never met someone who had Guinness who wasn't like, I like this. Even most females like Guinness. My wife, who can't stand the smell of a beer, loves Guinness.
I didn't really like Guinness back then.
Yeah, well, you're a girl. But
walked into that one.
You start with those type of beers, and then it's always like all of a sudden you try a Blue Moon or a Leinenkugel. You're like, oh, beers can have flavor.
Yeah,
I thought they could just be beer. And then it's usually you finally get experience with a Golden Monkey or you get a Mad Elf, and then you realize beers can be strong and have flavor.
I remember the first time I had a Hop Devil, I was like, oh my god, what is this undrinkable shit?
Yeah. And then you
I love Hop Devil.
Yeah, and then you dive a little too deep. Like anything, if you're going to start trying stuff, you can't... The IPA, I hate saying this because it sounds so...
Sorry. Wrong pipe.
He still never learned how to drink beer. I hate to say this because it sounds so goddamn pretentious, but you really do need to learn, it's like people who smoke cigars or drink whiskey or appreciate food. You got to have a palate to know what you're tasting before you start appreciating it. Anyone who first tries an IPA, especially when you go from light lagers, you're going to be like, oh, it's so tart, it's so bitter. And then after a bunch of them, you realize what's good and what's not. But to Jim's point, especially if you start with lagers, stay in the lager family. Try a lot of the Vienna lagers, like Sam Adams. That's one that you try and you notice.
Shit, at first, I didn't even like Sam Adams.
Yeah, but
I like cherry wheat.
It's different, yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of really good German lagers out there. There's a lot of good European beers that you should try. And then I would say dip your toes in Belgian beers, especially some of their golden Belgian ales. Those are things that, okay, can ease you into it. Then try IPAs. But yeah, overall, there may be many good IPAs out there. Try a lot of the other beer styles. There's tons of them. And if you look on our site, I broke them all out. There's so many different ways to categorize it. Try different ones before you just say IPA is the best style. You'll probably like something else.
Yeah, and also, weirdly enough, with a lot of our beer drinking friends, IPAs are the thing that everyone kind of moves on from, too.
Yeah.
I have buddies who are just all straight, the best beer is a porter at this point. Or a stout. Yeah, more stouts, but...
It's kind of it's like anything. You realize when you first start drinking, it's all light shit. And then you move on to maybe craft beer, and then you do IPAs. And then you realize there is better out there. And stouts, porters tend to be one of the final ones, especially Imperials or Russian Imperials. The strength, the age... when you get into dark, strong Belgian ales or even Gruits, there's so many different other strong... you just keep going up levels. It's like a friggin' video game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like IPAs are almost a more accessible thing to get into. Mm-hmm. Like, say your Nintendo's out there, but then you eventually get a real palate and you start playing the Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
And then once you move on to your Imperial Stouts, then you get to the Turbografix 16.
It's not like that because
I would say it's exactly like that.
I would say the Turbografix 16 is more like the.
Here it comes.
It's like your sour ales. It's good, but it's like only a weird contingent really loves it.
I do love me a sour.
Well,
not saying there's correlation. Not saying there's correlation.
Well, I would say IPAs, if I can bring it to a Call of Duty reference.
Oh, Christ.
That's going to be your standard. I'm the guy that uses an AK all the time, whether it be a 74 or 47. And I just need to spray, and this is a standard gun that I can be good with for a really long time. But then when you get really good, like some people, you realize I can tomahawk a person across the map if I get down my thing well enough. Or I can crossbow somebody in the face.
That's just like RPG nerds. Like, accessible shit.
It's like some people are only allowed to be Alex.
Axel.
And some people are really good as Max.
Some people are good as Max. God damn it.
So, let us know what you think. We know a lot of people love IPAs. And we've said it before and we'll say it again. We love a lot of them. They're just overrated. And the final topic, unless Jim has anything in the back of his noggin.
Yeah, it's gone long enough.
Is game genres that define the Super NES.
Wow, I wonder.
Best system in the world. According to everyone, especially our fans who are the only ones that matter.
RPGs, obviously.
The two, I would say, and I always try and do two, RPGs.
Platformers.
Which shocked me, shockingly enough, when I looked at the breakdown of all the genres and games, I forget, how many games are for the Super NES?
A couple hundred. I forget how many.
I think it's like 800, maybe more. Either way, yeah, RPGs is high up there. I hate the term action game. Like, any game can be an action game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say platformer, but like an action platformer. For some reason, when my mind goes to Super NES, I think of licensed action platformers.
That was a lot of the whole 16-bit era.
I know, but for some reason, I feel like, especially, and I know you're going to disagree with me on this, majority of those were better on the Super NES. So that's why my mind goes to Super NES on that. Like, licensed specifically. Like, I think of a lot, like, for example, today when I think most Marvel games that get a licensed version of their movies, a lot of them suck. Some of them are really good, but back in the Super NES version, most of them were okay. We did play some terrible Sylvester Stallone games, and I know there are some other awful, but I think it's some of those Disney movies, some of the Power, like, there's a lot of...
Yeah, the Disney games in general from that era were pretty top-notch, actually.
Yeah. So, I don't know. For me, those are the two. Definitely not, I mean, for sure, you could never say sports.
No, you can't say sports.
And if you were even going to say sports, you'd have to kind of say football, because it did have a good number of football and some baseball. Didn't really have much for basketball. Didn't really like.
It had a lot of the same ports, but they were always inferior versions.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't have Mutant League.
Yeah, that's its downfall. But it's still a better console. But
not a big shmup shooter console.
Stop saying shmup. That's something we need to address. God, that's the next topic after this one.
What?
We're addressing something here after this.
No, this is long enough. We can end the show.
Nope.
End the goddamn show.
We're not ending it. So.
I hit my tooth.
God damn it. Ow. There were some really good shooters on there. But, yeah, I would say it's not as well known for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, you have your Axel A's, your Phalanxes, your UN Squadrons.
Arguably, like, and I don't know how to categorize this, unique racing games, because you had F-Zero, you had Mario Kart. Like, it had some...
I'd say racing games in general would have the edge.
Would you say vehicle games, because it had Star Fox too?
Yeah, I probably would.
So maybe vehicle and RPG? I don't know.
I think vehicle games were almost like a underrated part of the SNES library.
It really is.
They have like Mario Kart, F-Zero, even the more random ones like Rock and Roll Racing was better on the Super NES, even though it was on the Genesis.
Yep.
You had Biker Mice from Mars, which was like a different kind of like isometric racing game.
Yeah.
You had Stunt Race FX. You had all kinds of crap like that.
And that, to your point,
Uniracers. Uniracers.
Definitely underrated.
The Top Gun series, or not Top Gun, Top Gear series.
Yeah. So maybe that should be on there.
Yeah, racing.
Right, not even just
not
racing.
saying it defined it, but
I would
like,
just say vehicle.
Yeah, not saying it defined the system, but it definitely was. What do you call it? Like,
it was unique for it, right? Is that the word?
Not so much unique, but just like it had a really strong library. I'll say of that genre.
The problem is, whenever you think of any Nintendo console, you're automatically thinking of Nintendo first-party games. So, like, that's what's always going to define every Nintendo console.
Right.
But if you scrub them aside and you're like, okay, well, what other games were there?
I mean, it had a lot of good beat-em-ups, too. Like, you had...
Oh, yeah.
You had the Final Fight series. You had, like, you had Turtles in Time. You had... Their version of Adventures of Batman and Robin was a straight-up beat-em-up.
Which I actually prefer.
I like the Genesis one better.
Well, of course you do.
Of course I do.
You're biased.
You're biased.
You're more biased. I grew up with both.
False.
You grew up with one. Yeah.
Look, if you just want, like, you know, a standard run-of-the-mill beat-em-up with some pretty graphics, then, you know, go have fun with your Batman and Robin. Though Batman Returns is way better on the Super NES. Way better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it had Castlevania.
So did Genesis.
Doesn't even hold a fuck candle.
Bloodlines is one of the best ones.
It's one of the best ones, but it's after a few after 4.
I don't know. I think
Super
it's...
Castlevania. Don't.
It's close to 4. 4's just like it's a pretty reboot of
Oh,
one.
it's a guy like, oh, I got a spear. Oh, I got
Yeah, the spear
I
definitely changes up. Oh, I can make my whip go whoop, 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 whoop.
Damn right.
Yeah, if you like slow down, then yeah,
right.
good. Enjoy.
Damn right.
Enjoy your slow down.
Damn right.
Pussyvania, that's what it is.
Room rotating around you.
It only took 27 minutes for it to do it.
Listen, you can be jelly all you want.
I'm not jelly.
So, yeah, we want to hear from you guys. What do you think defines a Super NES?
I'd say RPGs is the given, but the number 2 is tough. It's where you get interesting.
Vehicle games, or
beat 'em ups and platformers.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a lot more obscure, as like the Genesis was much more straightforward. So,
yeah.
Now we need to talk about one last thing.
What's the problem with shmup?
This is all gamers. I don't care who you are. Stop saying shmup. Stop saying SNES. Stop. Super NES, SNES. That's already short enough.
Actually, when I grew up, we all called it the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. So that means you're a double asshole, because if you would have grown up saying that, because nobody growing up said shmups. Not a single human.
It's true, but God, is it convenient.
But
God, is it convenient.
But that means you are basically like this new jackass of a generation, and you've adopted their language for saying shmoops, because it was easier to say.
Right. I'm a very busy man, and I have precious little time. So if I can condense what I need to say...
So what would you call beat-em-ups? Bups?
Beat-em-ups.
Yeah, exactly.
They're beat-em-ups.
I truly...
Some people call them brawlers, but...
Exactly. And then I hate... You can be, oh, they're hack and slash. Oh, this one, running gun. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Stop saying shmups. Stop saying X-Bone. That one I fucking hate. It's not spelled X-Bone. It's another fucking X.
Xbox. Xbox One.
Yes. Where's the X-Bone? It's not there.
XB1.
You're missing the point of another X. It doesn't become silent.
Xbonix?
Exactly.
It's an Xbonix.
I would be.
Some could call it an extra bonix.
No one calls a PS1 a Fizz1.
No, they call it PS1.
Exactly. So stop being assholes with everything else.
People barely call it a PlayStation 1. They go PS1. Because it's quicker. Short, to the point.
If I can quote Chris D'Elia, do yourself a favor.
Jesus Christ.
Do yourself a favor. If you're going to say shmups, get a big walking stick and take a hike. Because I'm tired of hearing these assholes.
That's a terrible quote.
It's much better than shmups. X-Bone. You got the X-Bone? Who got the new X-Bone?
It took me about 37 less minutes to just say shmup than for you to do your dumb Chris D'Elia quote.
Doesn't matter. You're missing the entire
I could have said shmup and solved world hunger in the time it took you to say that.
But you realize saying shmup is basically, it's a hipster thing. You're a hipster if you say that.
Yeah,
there
probably.
You go. If you're willing to say shmups, you're a hipster.
Yeah,
if you're a hipster, you're basically a commie. If you're a commie, get out.
Socialism. Yeah.
That's why I own the commies like Turbografix.
He's not like Turbografix.
It's popular in China. They're
Japan!
I know, but it's also popular in China. They're commies.
China didn't
Get
have
out.
anything.
Get out.
China wasn't allowed to have anything.
Get out.
China wasn't allowed to have fun back then.
So, don't say those words. And I don't even care if I'm the unpopular one on this.
You're probably not as unpopular. You're probably more popular than me.
I mean, we know that, but in this particular instance,
walked into that one.
In this particular instance, you know what? I'm glad that I agree with Pat and Ian because they're absolutely right on this one. Just stop making things worse. Gamers can already have a bad enough name. Don't say SCHUMPS because you sound like a schmuck when you say that. It's that simple.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Hey, Jim.
You want to agree with the watch guy? Huh?
What time is it?
Team Shmup doesn't do this shit.
What time is it?
Time for you to shut the fuck up and end
Hey,
this
Jim,
podcast.
you know what else Team Shmup does?
What do they do?
Loses at every bracket and is not the current champion of drinking games. Ooh, did I just say it out loud? Ooh. Ooh.
Another dick who never defends his title.
Listen, Jim, when I don't have any true competitors, what do you expect? I'm all A player. There's like, ooh, there's Zack Ryder. Cool. That's what you are. You're basically Zack Ryder.
Woo, woo, woo.
So, guys, I know this was a little bit of a longer one, but we had a lot to cover. We're going to try to stay back on track with the 2-week schedule, and we want to thank you guys. If you're not already, if you're following us on Twitter or our website or YouTube, if you ever want us to talk about anything, comment. We always try to respond to you all. And other than that, guys, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, before we're done, what do you think of the beer? Besides, now
it's
you're
delicious.
Finished?
It's definitely isn't a beer like I don't want to keep finishing it so fast because you're supposed to really sip it.
Yeah.
A lot of good flavor. If I had any complaint, bit too boozy for 11%.
Too boozy at the start?
This when I drink beers this boozy, I'm thinking 15 or 16%. And it tastes like it should be up that high.
Yeah, I can see that.
But no, damn good beer.
Duchette's does it again.
That's right.
All right, so once again,
cheers, guys.